So wonderful. So today's topic, what we picked up is, marketing strategy of top Indian brands. And when we are, looking at advertising and brand management, there's a very critical element of marketing strategy in this, you know, because almost all your, initiatives as far as your advertising and your brand boils down to something which is again promoting the product, which is marketing, right? So uh, so that's the reason this topic is a little important, I think, for all of us, and needs huge attention. And at least in today's changing and so dynamic world order, where I think, because of technology, we all are experiencing the pace of the change which we are experiencing every day, right? So as far as marketing strategy, I'm sure this is not a new term for anybody who's sitting there listening. But if at all you see into in a microscopic view to this, largely it is about the way customer is going to behave to your any outreach, any reaching out to the customer. It is all about that. So you also as a customer, right, the way you behave to a certain phenomena, to a certain change, right, for any service, or as a consumer for any service product or any product, right, that is all about marketing. So anything, all customer, anything which differs, anything which change, anything which which kind of creates some kind of behavioral attributes. That is what marketing is all about. And we are going to first of all see a larger attribute about what marketing is, strategy in particular, and then we are going to pick up some iconic Indian brands which we are going to look at very microscopically in terms of what are all the strategies which they picked up, which attributed to their success stories. So on this, if at all we see two key learning objectives, right, which we are, as I've already mentioned, right, but largely I wanted to put this as one, the fundamental frameworks, what we are going to discuss as far as the marketing strategies are concerned. So the fundamental framework, the processes, and the tools which have been employed, right, during the curation of these marketing strategies by the experts. So I think that's one learning which we all are going to take from during the session, after the session. And second is, what are all the actual business problems which has been solved? Because see, finally it is about that only, right? The actual business problem, and of course the performance of the business. So any marketing strategy which has been employed, let's say by none other than Reliance Jio, right? So how that helped Reliance Jio, right, to kind of mitigate those risks of competitions, right, and empowering that growth which they have experienced from the year of their launch. So I think, if I'm correctly recalling, 2016 was the year of their launch, and since then the kind of growth which they have, exponential growth which they have experienced. What are all those key marketing strategies which they employed during this period? So here, what we are actually trying to understand is, if at all we see, when we say marketing strategies, see from where it has evolved, right? And if at all we again dig a little more into this, right, it has evolved something from a military context in terms of absolute. So anything which is related to a strategy, right, or a process which has to be adopted in certain criticality of those military context, it has actually picked up right? It has got picked up from there, and it slowly evolved and picked up a form or a structure as far as the business marketing strategy is concerned, right? So that's how the evolution, if at all we link a little in the past, dig a little in the past. That's how the evolution has happened. And then the management scholars added few more elements, kind of sustainability, enhancing firm performance, and all this blah blah blah. So it has been again actually packaged in a way that it appears that this is what we are talking about, right? So perspective, finally, if at all you see the pyramid, an inverted pyramid of a marketing strategy, the pyramid, at the bottom, it will be the customer, right? And the entire inverted pyramid of marketing strategy is going to stand on the customer, right? With the customer at the center of this entire, positioning and brainstorming while devising. So, what are all the critical elements when we talk about marketing strategies? And then we will move a quick on few of the slides so that we catch up also with the time, right? So, if at all we see the 5 key elements which are of course listed here. So these are the ones which form the quintessential important ingredients when we are talking about marketing strategy. So one, leading to a differential advantages over competitor. It goes without saying, sustainability, to stay in the market, to stay relevant in the market, right? So what kind of marketing strategies has to be adopted? So of course there are a good number of examples which we are going to look at in our future, in our upcoming slides. But let's say just I share with a brand like Royal Enfield, right? So what are all those key marketing strategies which has been adopted to ensure that a dying brand or like Royal Enfield almost a few decades back has been reinvigorated in a way, packaged, branded, right, and relaunched in a way that it has been a new success, right, in this segment of premium motorcycling. Although even Java has been launched parallelly, but what were those key marketing strategies which helped Royal Enfield to become a bigger brand over the mother company, which is Asher, right? So here, then of course, ensuring firm's performance, customer perspective, and guiding decisions and actions. So these are the 5 critical ingredients on the basis of which any marketing strategy formulation happens. So since we have quickly seen few of the ingredients from where it has evolved, why marketing strategy, right? Now effective marketing strategy at the center, of course, is the customer. So it is important for us again to evaluate here that while the formulation of such strategies, what are all those elements which also comes into the play, which are specific to a brand, right? Which are specific to, let's say, product, price, place, promotion, right? The 4 Ps and the 7 Ps, and considering all those plays into the hierarchy. So after all this, what I'm sure there must be few participants who have their own companies. They're running their own companies. There must be few who are going to run their own company, right? So an important introspection which we are supposed to do here is we have to actually see from these 3 aspects. What is your firm doing to build a relative advantage versus the competitor in the minds, the target customer? How is your firm building barriers to competitors copying this advantage to make it sustainable? And how is your firm selling this relative advantage, right? So on these 3 scales, if at all we further do a microscopic view of the marketing strategy which has to be formulated, I think that will help us to gauge a much larger perspective to it. Now here, once we have seen how to, now the most important question here before we kind of step into the marketing strategy is what if, right? So what if you had the finest product, but there's no one to buy? And why we need marketing strategy, right? What if your customer service was great, but gave a tough competition to 5-star services, but there was no one to experience it? So these what if you had excellent skills, but there was no client you could work for? So these what ifs are again, compulsive thoughts which helps us, right, for introspection to actually look at in the process of marketing strategy formulations, right? So these what ifs are important, right, to again gain an insight, identify, do our own thought, right, find out the critical elements, the ingredients, and then formulate a successful marketing strategy, which is going to be relevant as far as our business is concerned. Also, I've heard about two separate connotations of the strategy. One is a corporate strategy and one is a marketing strategy. So I think it is important to draw lines very clear, right, in terms of what are the differential factors which places these two into two different sections, right? And why these both are important as far as when we are discussing a strategy, why these both are important at the same time. So when we spoke about corporate strategy and marketing strategy, right, it is again, as I mentioned, it is very important to understand both perspectives, right, in terms of marketing strategies and corporate strategies, right? So here the corporate strategy is a much larger element in terms of the overall scope and direction of a firm, right? In which way the business will operate, work together, achieve particular goal. So this is more related to vision, mission, and goals of the firm, organization, or the company. Now, of course, the impact is more legal, tax, finance, because your geopolitical situation, your geopolitical, status is also something which is going to be defining here. Okay. Now, on the contrary, the marketing strategy is something which is more relatable to creating value for your stakeholders, right? Vis-a-vis whatever product or service which you are into, the kind of business in which you are into, right? So both have an influence, right? Whether it is corporate strategy or marketing strategy, they both influence human resource, operations, R&D, right? Most of these functions of the company, the ecosystem, they all get influenced. But largely, the corporate strategy is more pertaining to legal and tax finance, right? And the marketing strategy is more to HR, operations, and R&D, right? Research and development as well. So now we are going to start with picking up few examples and examples to understand why these brands and what kind of marketing strategies these brands have adopted, which have helped them to grow leaps and bounds. Okay, so the first brand which is coming is again from Gujarat, right? And I'm sure most of you know who this gentleman is and the success story about this brand, which is Asian Paints. I mean, it has got a dominant position in the last 70 years of its growth and existence, right? Large majority of Indians, when it comes to kind of paints, right, their choice is home. And other than Indian presence, even they have presence in good number of countries internationally as well. So this is more. It's more than a 70 years old brand, and with almost multi-million-dollar turnover, and the kind of strategies which this brand has figured out. I think that has it will be interesting to look at. So before I dwell more into the strategy, there's next mascot which I will share. So I'm sure you all must be familiar with this, right? And this is the brand mascot Gattu, right? Sometimes back of Asian Paints, and you must have seen in their television ads and most of the electronic advertisement which they employed, right, and which make them so popular as a brand. So on this slide, other than if you see, other than paints, they have diversified in multi-channel product category, and even in the same bracket, right? So if at all, I have mentioned few product portfolio, the paints, waterproofing, wall coverings. You can have a more detailed view of once the presentation is there with you. But largely, if at all you see, right, their core strategies which has been there is about their data management, right? Asian Paint is the only business in the world to grow revenue by at least, if I'm correctly recalling, it is 20% per annum, which is phenomenal, and they have maintained it over the years, right? And that has been empowered and enabled with something which is iconic from this gentleman, and that is Mr. Choksi himself, and that is the data management, the introduction of technology right from day one, and that has been at the core of this brand, which has helped Asian Paints identify customer patterns very clearly in terms of evolving, introducing new product launches, which are very similar to exact needs and wants of the customer. So I think this has helped Asian Paints to grow phenomenally well in last more than 6-7 decades, right? If I'm correctly recalling. So that's how the growth story is. And if at all you see as an FMCG brand, right? The kind of growth which they have experienced is something which is also because of their distribution network. So as far as marketing strategy is concerned, one, technology at the core, two, clear data tracks in terms of evaluating, identifying customer behavioral patterns, three, of course, in terms of their distribution networks, they are one of the brands who have removed the distributors as they took more than 20% cut. So they have been more on direct, right? The dealer locked adequate storage facility and were not able to hold large amounts of paint for long periods. So considering that, the logistical network to stock the dealership, which was 4 times a day, which was tough nut he cracked. And I think this also empowered the entire network of dealership, cutting down the distributorship, right, to be more efficient in their line of logistics chain. As we again progress to see the other 7-8 examples of the brand, I'm sure this will be more clearer, right, as we mature in the session. Okay, but largely it is just that these are three large questions which are to be taken into account when we are formulating our marketing strategy for our own product or service, right, for our company. So Asian Paint we were discussing, and we discussed a few strategies. One, of course, technology. Two, of course, the logistics efficiency with which it has been dealt, right? And when I say logistic efficiency, of course, the dealer network, right? Removing the distributor, network, and directly, ensuring that the penetration, the market penetration is more huge, more vivid, more aggressive in terms of, the reach out to the customer and the segmentation. Any Of course, when it comes to technology, there are so many other things which we can add here, but largely I think it would be important for us to kind of look at the other brands also, because they are also going to consume time. Again, for a brand which is an iconic Indian brand, and the way things have been, kind of grown from this brand, which is a very a normal product like Fevicol, right? There were hardly people who can imagine that a mundane product like an adhesive, from that product, an iconic brand like Fevicol can be made, right? So this is again a huge success story, and let us look at few of the marketing strategies which has been adopted while building the iconic brand of Fevicol. As we look at this brand Fevicol, right? This has been a normal household brand for any requirement of adhesive, which is concerned, right? And it has again happened because of large amount of attribution on the marketing strategy. Okay. Now, if at all you look here, the most important elements of marketing strategies are, one, of course, the rural reach out, which has been there even in their initial workings of their marketing strategies. And when it is rural reach outs, even the advertising and the promotional campaigns which they curated during those years of their promotions, right? There had been huge emphasis laid on the reach out to the rural sector and considering that customer as a key market. So that helped them to kind of, reach out to a much larger section of customer, and that too with a product which has been now a product of every household, whether it is rural, urban, suburban, or urban, all category, it is very much there. Then, so even the advertising campaigns, I'm sure you all have seen, two elephants, and again, that's the logo, pulling, a ball, a yellow ball, right? So these are all vindications of the kind of advertising campaigns which have been posted during their time, and which helped the brand, right, to kind of restore that powerful thinking of the brand Fevicol in terms of as an adhesive, right? Then there has been a lot of brand endorsement which had been done, and to the extent I'm recalling Kareena Kapoor, one of the Bollywood celebrities, and so many others, right? Fevicol se or Fevicol se bhi majboot hai, and all these, had been narrated. And even in one of the meetings, if I'm correctly recalling, in Indo-Japan meeting, even our Prime Minister, took one such, narration of that, our relations are as strong as Fevicol se bhi majboot jod hai. Now, these are all things which have helped it to connect to the masses, to every section of the of the people, and that's how it has been accepted as a every household brand, for for large period. Then, as far as people connect is concerned, right, they're also their connect with the carpenters, right. It is not that their connect had been only limited to their own distributor channel, distributor networks, right. It has been largely to organize seminars for carpenters, office employees, and kind of pulling them up. So there was a direct connect which has also been established by the end consumer. So here it is, although B2, B2C and B2C also, but here actually the end consumer is the carpenter, right? So if at all you ask any carpenter what he has to suggest, of course he's blindly going to take name of Fevicol, that this thing is what is needed, right? So again, as far as positioning here is concerned, one has been performance, and when we say performance, high performance, adhesive, and and white and blue kind of labeling it. Two, the people connect, that has been very strong in terms of reaching out to again the end user. Three, the kind of bond, family togetherness, and with the kind of advertisement which has generated, I think that has also helped to get this brand accepted as every household brand, largely. So this has been by far one of the most successful and iconic brand. So right, and now we are looking at Amul, right? And Amul, again, it is in itself is an iconic success story, and its name has been quoted both internationally and nationally. There are so many case studies which have been discussed, right? While quoting Amul, the success stories, what are the factors behind it. But I'm sure we all kind of accept that Amul is popular for its super creative topical advertisements, which are a great combination of humor, intelligence, right, and which has kind of during Corona pandemic, we have seen ads. The ads which we had been looking in 80s and 90s, those ads again had been repackaged, rebranded, and kind of relaunched, and that has been very widely accepted, right? So apart from its expanding product line, Amul also, it took a creative spin on key current affairs of the country also, right? So there has been lot many factors, and there are few points which I have mentioned here, although only capturing 11 points and kind of deciphering Amul's success story is next to impossible. But yes, these were the few marketing strategies which came to my mind, right, as of now. All right, so of course they have a very strong and a large network of distribution, which makes them a fierce force in this industry, because I'm sure we all would accept that anybody who is going to be there in this business, which is milk business, manufacturing, and of course distribution, the kind of distribution network which is needed, considering the sensitivity of the product, which is milk, it has to be full proof, and I think their strength lies there as well, right? Other than, of course, the points which are there, the larger point which I would like to highlight here is one, the distribution network. Without a second thought on it, to the price sections in which these guys are operating, right? The products are available at immensely affordable prices, which are touching every section of our society, which again makes this brand so widely accepted, whether it is lower middle class, whether it is middle class, even the lower section of the society, right? All it has been so deeply rooted in each section of the society, right? So although the mascot which is there reflecting, which we just saw, that little girl, right? It has been so deeply entrenched in our memory that, and trust me, it has been right from the beginning. They have never changed their iconic little girl mascot, and because of that, also the kind of relatable brand iconic image which they have been able to build over the years has also been so well accepted that the second you think of Amul, right? The image which comes to your mind is that little girl. Right? It's so obvious it has become, right, and that's the reason it is India's largest food brand and also trusted for its quality. So that's Amul for you guys. I'm sure I'm not going to the history of Mr. Kurian and how he formed and Gujarat Cooperative Marketing Federation and all those things. I'm sure, being Gujaratis, we all know those stories, those success stories. But yes, these were the marketing strategies which I wanted to place for your views, and I'm sure you must be knowing these. We will move to the next brand which has been very recently and very off late, right, picked up. And again, I think, which is Patanjali. Now, as far as this brand journey is concerned, I'm sure you all know who owns it and who are all the people who are behind this. So again, I'm not getting into those things, but yes, it is needless to say that this brand has found a place in every household in the form of in some form or the other. It may be a toothpaste, atta noodle, cornflake, you name it and it is there, right? It has competed with one of the largest mega houses in the FMCG category. Companies like Hindustan Unilever Limited, companies like Nestle, companies like P&G, Procter and Gamble. I mean, they are behemoths, right, in Indian FMCG industry, because they are so deep rooted, right? Any product of HUL, you name it, and you know they are there in every household. Now, matching their caliber, their strength, and then kind of building is something which is of immense strength, and that's the reason their marketing strategy again needs a lot of review. In very simple context, the 4 P's, if at all we look at, although nowadays it is very common that we talk about 7 P's, but the 4 P's largely, to make it simpler, is the price, product, promotion, and place. Now, in these categories, if at all you see their marketing strategy, right, it is largely something which is one. Mr. Ramdev, he himself has been very, very popular and an iconic image as far as his yoga and all those things have been concerned. So I think that strategy, in terms of him coming, adopting, right, and being a brand icon here, that also helped Patanjali Ayurveda, right, to build over the period of time, right? So in terms of brand endorsements, right, you must have seen largely it is Baba Ramdev only who has been doing the rounds, but he has been very effective, considering he himself has a strong brand value, right, with a healthy follow-up base, which has, of course, helped the brand to get the necessary traction in the initially, right? And second is I think the pricing strategy, which has been very competitive, right? And their product initially had been priced 20 to 30% lower than their nearest counterpart or nearest competitors, right? So that also helped. So one, the iconic brand endorsements, right? A person who already has a lot of acceptance, right? And two, underpricing, 20-30% underpricing over their nearest competitor, right? Which again helped to quickly move the brand, grow it, right, in a different category, right? Their distribution network is also it has grown over a period of time, right? Since the time they have launched until now, I think they have somewhere around 5,000 plus retail outlets and super stores, mega stores, and most of the tier one, tier two, tier three metros, mega metros. I think they are very well present now, and that's the reason we have seen the kind of growth of this brand also. And other than all these, one more thing which is coming to my mind is the element of Swadeshi, which they have very strongly inculcated in every marketing strategy which they have curated, has also played very well, right? So Swadeshi things, make in India, Swadeshi, and it's a coincidence that it gelled with most of the current dispensation, the government also the make in India and all this stuff. And that also empowered and enabled this brand in terms of a wider acceptance within their customer in terms of, Swadeshi, right? Make in India and those things. So that's how, I think Patanjali, although there are so many other things which we can talk and discuss as far as their strategies are concerned, but yes, these had been the larger ones which I thought, in this limited time, it is important to talk about. Okay, so these are the four brands. Now moving to the next brand, and that is again a very popular and something which is again a household name, right? They have also grown very rapidly, and if I think comparing with any other brand in this space, the telecom space, and the kind of time they have invested, the kind of growth they have experienced. Their launch year was 2016, and it is just 6 years, 7 years time span. The kind of growth which they have experienced, it is phenomenal, right? And because of this reason, it is again important to just see their premium marketing strategies, what they have adopted, and what attributed to their exponential growth in this section. So here, I'm sure you all can go through the 8, 9, 10 points which are there. But largely, what I feel is one, they have tried to create an ecosystem, right, which involved the applications, GeoPlay, GeoMoney, Geo security, and gaming, right? So they created just like an Apple. I'm sure there might be people who are using Apple, right? So the cutting edge which Apple carries over any nearby competitor of Apple is the kind of ecosystem, its strength which they have, right? They have both the software and the hardware, right? So that places them at a very different level as far as a company is concerned, and that applies even here also. So they also created an ecosystem where once you sink in their ecosystem as a consumer, right? They empower you with most of the things which you enjoy. Playing music. They have Geo Music, they have Geo Play, and most of these elements So again, that customer acceptance as far as a brand is concerned is, that gets hugely, is strong. Then second is, other than these points, the pricing. I think that's also played a huge winning strategy for them, and more or less in most of their categories, they discounted on tariffs during the launches. For a student, they discounted immensely, right? And that also attributed to the kind of subscriber growth which they have experienced during the first month of their launch, right? And they targeted a pan-India presence as far as telecommunication is concerned, internet, messaging, smart devices, right? Then broadband service, and they brought technology which was super advanced. So when they launched, it was 4G light on the platform which they launched. So that also placed them at a pedestal which had been at a much larger strength with any near competitor, right? When they announced this, so all these strategies, other focusing on calls, quality subscribers, and the kind of market segmentation which did. I think these all had been very intricate and made the entire story of Reliance Jio, the kind of growth which they have seen, vis-a-vis Vodafone Idea, or whether it has been ASL at that time during the launch, of course, Airtel, right? All these brands they have seen. I think that has immensely added to their overall strengths, right? So this slide is why I have taken this name. We have seen few traditional brands, Amul, right, Pidilite, Asian Paints, okay, Reliance Jio. Now it is time to look at a few new age brands, and Boat is one of it, right? I'm sure you all must have seen or may have used Boat, any of the electronic gadgets with which they are. But largely, the kind of marketing strategy which they have used, it is. I'm telling you, it's very interesting to see and go through their, entire case studies, right? They have not left any stone unturned, regarding influencing people through influencer marketing. I mean, they have used these sequences hugely, right? The kind of brand endorsements which they have with celebs like Jacqueline Fernandez, Karthik Aryan, Kiara Advani, and so on and so forth. There are so many other names. But I think this has immensely helped them, right? The influencer marketing section, right? Having brand endorsements with new age people, the Gen Z, which are there, right? Harry Sandhu, Neha Kakkar. I think these were new age people, very new, recognizable names, recognizable brand in themselves, right? And when they endorsed the brand of Boat. Okay. So I think apart from good number of marketing strategies which they adopted, the few which are really important for us to kind of have a look are these numbers, right? So brand, yes, placement in the market, the way, so it has been right from the beginning, it has been placed as a brand which is for the new generation, the Gen Z. Now, when we say this, it does not mean indirectly that the people of my generation are not using it, but we tend to chase the new generation, the Gen Z, right? And that happens by default, right? So their target here in this case is something which actually has helped them. I think they have picked up few brand endorsements like cricketers like Shikhar Dhawan, Hardik Pandya, KL Rahul. So the point here, what I'm trying to make is that most of the influencer marketing which they have done, kind of onboarding these new age, brand personalities who have huge acceptance within the new generation. I think that has built in terms of their acceptance as a brand in the in this new generation, and of course helping them to build a brand out of this, right? Other than this, rest all are just a part of it, right? Digital Nirvana experience, which has been again curating into something which is kind of an ecosystem creation. Most of their hashtags, multimedia, social media, I think that has also been very, very effective. They have been viral on, if I'm correctly recalling, hashtag what floats your boat, and these are, and these hashtags have been very, very viral on social media, very well, retweets and a lot of tweets. And so I think the customer engagement over social media, that has phenomenal for both, and that has again, so social media, yes, very largely and immensely attributed to their success story. They have marketing collaborations with events like IPL, the Marvel collection which was there. They had few launches there during Independence Day and the Republic Day, right? So days after these, right? So this are also moment marketing which they picked up, right? Moment marketing, vis-a-vis collaboration, which also helped them, right, to build connect with the new age, kids, right, and making them as a very popular brand per se in this category. Okay. So now, having said this, as far as board is concerned, it does not mean that they have not done print and offline marketing. You must be looking at full page advertisements or print advertisements of both in the newspaper dailies. Even the distributors like Chroma, you go, you find print advertisements in most of their stores, right? So they have strike a very clear balance of the digital age advertising and the traditional advertising. I think that again has helped us to help both to target the right audience with the affordable priced product to the masses, and that helped to grow this brand leaps and bounds. Yeah, and that's Netflix. So this is again something I'm sure you all can very strongly relate to this brand, right? This has been a brand which is in some household it is on and off, and in some household it has been regular, right? But yes, as commoners, we all know what this brand is, which is Netflix, right? As far as their marketing strategies are concerned, I think few things which has helped Netflix to place them at a different pedestal over their nearest competitor is their original content, right? So in this space, if at all anybody who is very much, right, people who want original content, who are very sensitive as far as the content is concerned, and they also don't mind paying a little extra for original content, I think Netflix has been the choice for such consumers, right? And as far as the quality of videos, high definition, 4,000 ultra definition, and all those, I think in all these par excellence categories, also Netflix has placed it very strongly, relating it to the end consumer, the user, right? And I think this has helped Netflix to place as a brand at a different level vis-a-vis any nearest competitor which they have. So it's still as end consumer for us when it comes to quality content, when it comes to original content, when it comes to the quality of video streaming, I think, and if at all we are okay with paying a little extra, I think our first choice is Netflix as of now in today's available context. So that's it. And so, yes, I think so. That's the intent. I'm sure most of you have something or the other learning and takeaway from the presentation, the session today.